gauges used in semiconductor material, but the junction properties of semiconductor materials are also often used for sensing different things. So, first of all, we will go through it. Another type of temperature sensor, which is called a semiconductor type temperature sensor. It is semiconductor type temperature sensor. We will have it like this. So basically, what it is, the semiconductor type sensor is really very useful and very popular for the measurement range in the minus 55, 50 degrees, okay, 55 degrees Celsius to plus of 150 degrees Celsius. Normally, it is like this. So basically in the room temperature or 0 to 100 where most of our sensing are there, they employ the semiconductor type temperatures. Here is that it is high sensitivity. You will see that it can be a very 1 millivolt per Kelvin or something is there, or 1 microampere per Kelvin, which is much higher than this one, and it is simple to connect without any additional, much of additional circuitry or the signal conditioning. And the major important thing is that more linear. It is absolutely linear in the range of minus 55 to plus 150 degrees Celsius. So if we want to, because we know the RTD is a linear one, but in a certain range, but connect it to a bridge, it becomes nonlinear. Thermistor is a nonlinear one. And we'll see the thermocouple also is a nonlinear one device like this there. So naturally, this is a semiconductor type sensor for the low temperature measurement. It's very absolutely very popular type of temperature sensor. So what is the basic principle? It is basically it uses the junction property of the semiconductor, any transistor. We know that if we have a simple transistor, this is the base emitter voltage, VBE. We know that these characteristics of VBE, this relationship with the VBE is that VBE is equal to KT divided by Q into log natural by IC0. So this is your IC. So this is a well-known relationship. The VB is equal to K into T divided by Q ln IC by IC0, where K is Boltzmann's constant, T is temperature in Kelvin, Q is the electron charge, and of BC0, here it's this expression if these these are K, Q, I, C, 0 and all the things and the properties of the transistor. So we can actually say that VBE is proportional to the transistor. So what is T? Is the temperature of the junction or the basically the ambient temperature. So we can have a linear relationship with between the VBE and the temperature. But there is a problem, it's not absolutely linear because this IC0 also varies with temperature. IC0 also varies with the temperature and that too in a non-linear fashion. You can say that this IC0 is equal to B into T cube into e to the power minus q divided into Vg 0 divided by kT. So B is a constant depending on geometry and Vg0 is equal to this is the band gap voltage at 300 Kelvin for silicon. If it is a silicon type, it is like this. So definitely what we wanted to say that it looks to be perfectly linear provided all of them are constant. So, but the point is that this IC0 is also varying in a complex manner uh, with the temperature here. So naturally, this linearity which we were initially thinking that okay, it would be a very nice area we can obtain, but linearity is lost. So naturally, we can look for how can we regain the linearity, or rather, how can you make the compensation, make some sort of compensation scheme which will be making it linear. So let us see how it can be done. I mean to say the actual practical circuit, I am just showing it where you can have that compensation for this IC0 varying with 10. That can be done by the basic scheme. Obviously, the actual circuit is much more complicated, but I am just showing you the basic scheme. What is it? Okay. So we have two transistors, Q1 and Q2, and they are identical. And this point is grounded, the collector, and the emitted side, approximately we can say this is IC1 and this is IC2. Okay. These are the two constant current sources. Okay. Two constant current sources, IC1 and IC2. And naturally, depending upon the VBE here, there will be a voltage difference between the emitted points of these 2 points. And as a result, the voltage, I can say this is VD. So the differential voltage VD of this thing is basically VD. So what is the value of VD? So we have put it in this way. So that means VD is equal to VB1 minus VBE2. So here it is KT divided by Q into IC1 divided by IC0 minus of KT divided by Q into IC2 divided by IC0. Okay. So now what is happening is that these two transistors are identical. So naturally, both of them, the collector saturation current or IC0 should be same. So naturally, if they are same, so this is the biggest problem for our nonlinear characteristics of this one. We can say, sorry, this log natural. Please correct me. So here it is log natural IC1 divided by IC0. So what is this? It is log natural IC1 divided by IC2. That means the uncertainty of the variation of IC0 is cancelled out because of these two identical transistors we are using, and so they will be cancelled out. So now if we make it that if we make it that IC1 is equal to 2 of IC2, and this is basically 2I, like this. So, or rather 2 of IC2, just I said IC1 is equal to 2 of IC2. That means the current and current sources I just designed it such that this is a double the current of IC2. So it will be K2 by Q into log natural of 2. And if we make it that VD, AD, we select it, AD is equal to 167.4. Then what will happen? That VBE is equal to by T. That means it is completely linear. Sorry, VB, not VB, it is V0. The output voltage is V0 is equal to VAB into VB. It is an amplifier, not an option swap. It's a total amplifier. So V0 by T is equal to K divided by Q into AD into log natural 2. It comes to be equal to 10 millivolt by per Kelvin. So naturally, it is quite a good value, high sensitivity. As we get 10 millivolt per Kelvin sensitivity using the semiconductor temperature measurement. So naturally, this is a very based on this, the IC used is LM35. You can see the LM35 is a IC, which is a IC temperature sensor, which has a 10 millivolt per Kelvin, and the accuracy straightforward is saying plus minus 1 degree Celsius, which is quite good like this. Okay, 1 minus 1 degree Celsius, you can go with it, and this accuracy is constant. Similarly, another type
Sir,
of, yes,
sir, I think it should be a PNP transistor because,
pardon?
sir, it should be a PNP transistor, I think. So
I
because,
have made it, this is ground and this is minus.
so then won't it be IE, the currents?
Huh?
So won't the currents be emitter currents?
But this one I say, this one is, okay, consider the possibility. Just as any much more complicated, but I have made it like I have assumed that these base currents are negligible. Or even if you want, you can put this one here. But normally, this is the configuration. But basically, the actual scheme is much more complicated. But I am showing you the simplest variant. And here I there average and whatever you say that this IC1, IC2, I can say IE1, IE2. Doesn't matter. As long as their relationship is one is double the other. So that is the thing here. Another one is also there, which is a very useful device and much more popular is AD 590. This analog device, AD 590. Have you heard this IC's name? Have you any of them heard?
Yes, sir. We have done it in the lab.
Yeah, basically, we have done it in the lab. That is the simulation we have done it, basically. So this 8590 is a temperature controlled current source. That means it is something like this, a current source I, and which is dependent upon the temperature. And this sensitivity is 1 microampere per Kelvin. So if we just connect a 1 kilo resistance in series with it, so the sensitivity, the voltage sensitivity will be 1 millivolt per Kelvin. You can calculate. But it is very sensitive and very stable also, and it is delivering 298.2 microampere at 298.2 Kelvin. That means it is in room temperature, it is like this, it will be delivering that is to around 25 degrees Celsius, you can say, it will be at this one like this, and after that it is a very linear version, and this one microampere. And for 8590, they also employ the similar one, but little bit more complicated. But I would suggest if you get time, you please go through that Balasarini and Winster's book, the development of this 8590 scheme. But the basic scheme is a basic differential amplifier which we have it, and from there. Okay. So with this, I will stop the semiconductor type temperature sensor because we'll have to go a little bit fast, and some of the things we'll have to omit also because of the time. Any question about this one? About the semiconductor type temperature sensor? Since you have done the laboratory, do you have any question about the laboratory experiment? Anybody? So I hope it is not. So we can proceed to the next topic. So next one on the, we'll go for the temperature measurement. Actually, we are going towards from the different types of characteristics. We are going for temperature measurement. So first temperature measurement was the semiconductor type temperature sensor or IC sensor. Next one, which is a very popular type of temperature sensor, is basically the thermocouple. So thermocouple in industrial situations, you will find wherever you want to measure the temperature in a furnace, boilers, and etc. The thermocouples are very useful there. The thermocouples are very useful there. And basically the more popular are like this. So and the basics of thermocouple, we know that it's all Peltier effect, Seebeck effect and all the things, but I am not going to the physics of thermocouple, rather I am going for the applications of this one, how the voltage of the thermocouple can be measured and what are the precautions we need to take and what are the materials to be used and like this. So basic thermocouple is that we know the basic principle from that one is that if we have a two temperatures, hot junction and two junctions, hot junctions and cold junctions, and two different metals, and if we break open at any point like this, there would be two, a voltage we can would be generated, and that is voltage can be expressed in this way that E0 is equal to C1 into T1 minus T2 plus of C2 into T1 square minus T2 square. And basically, if you want, you can, these things equivalently, we can also show it in this manner. Two dissimilar metals, A and B, and they are connected to hot junction T1, and these two at the same temperature T2, and then there would be a voltage E0 there, and obviously the polarity would be there, different A there. What would be the polarity and these things. So basically, what we can say that this C1 and C2 are dependent upon the temperature, and so the sensitivity are dependent upon the materials. They are constants dependent upon what material A and B should be different, what materials you are using. And the second point is that this constitutes a non-linearity. This contributes non-linearity here. So basically, the thermocouple characteristics is not a linear one, but for a small range, we can consider to be a linear. C2 is smaller than this one, but overall range, it's a non-linear, and as a result, its sensitivity will also change from temperature to temperature there. Okay. So these are the things there, that one is a hot junction, one is a cold junction. If we know the cold junction, so normal A there, we put the cold junction into ice. This is the thing there, we can have it, and then T1 temperature we can find out all like this. Now the question is that materials, or rather the selection of materials. Theoretically, any two dissimilar metals or alloys, they can form a thermocouple and some voltage will be generated. So we can use any type of combinations of different metals to get this thermocouple voltage. But in practice, if we see the commercial thermocouple, only hardly 6 or 7 type of thermocouples are used commercially. So in a number of maybe hundreds of combinations of thermocouple we can have it, but only from the practical point of view, commercial point of view, for using this one, only hardly 6 or 7 thermocouples do exist or they are used. Why? Basically, this is very important. This decided by sensitivity. You know, so some of the material combinations may have a very low sensitivity that we do not want. Then it is inertness. Say for example, that must be inert. But for example, if we use copper or aluminum or this one, if we keep them for some time, they will be quickly react with the atmosphere and make some copper oxide or aluminum oxide or like this. So they are not inert. On the other hand, if I use a noble metals, then they are inert and we can use it for a long time. So this is one of the things there. Similarly, stability. Stability means its sensitivity and all the things should be constant for a long time. Next is that reproducibility. Reproducibility. So reproducibility is a very important one. What is it? Ability to replace. That means if we have a thermocouple of two material combinations, somehow after some use it has gone bad. If reproducibility means again I replace it, or rather replaceability also we can say it, or whatever may be. If we replace it by a similar thermocouple of combinations of A and B, the exact same one, the characteristics should be exactly the same. It should not vary. But unfortunately, some of the thermocouple materials are like this there. If we use one way there, thermocouple, if I replace it by the same material thermocouple, there would be some difference between the characteristics. It won't be exactly the same characteristics. And as a result, we need to calibrate it. So the reproducibility is good, means we don't need to calibrate it once we replace it. So these are the all the important criteria because they are used in industrial situations and etc. That makes the thermocouple, the selection of the thermocouple or the choice of thermocouple materials are very limited. Only 5 or as I told 6 or 7 type thermocouples are used. What are they? So, a different type, what is the positive terminal material, what is the negative terminal material, what is the range, recommended range, and the typical sensitivity. So, first of all, it is R type. This is called positive one is platinum, which is costly, and rhodium. So basically it is 90% platinum and 10% rhodium. It's an alloy here. And negative is platinum only. The range is 0 to 1500 degrees Celsius. And the typical sensitivity is 5.25 to 14.1 microvolt per degree Celsius. So what does it mean? This 5.25 to 14, that means the sensitivity varies from temperature to temperature, but in the overall range it is 0 to 15. It may vary from 5.25 to 14.1. So naturally we need to calibrate it properly and use it and take care of the way that it has got a non-linear characteristic. Similarly, there is another one is S, type S. Actually, this is the commercial name we give it, type R, S, T, J, K, like this. So, here the S is the same thing, but this platinum rhodium, but here the combination is slightly different, platinum 87% and 13% rhodium. And this one is platinum itself. And this also the same because both of them have got very little characteristics, but I don't know. Two types of they are being used, and their sensitivity is also more or less same, 5.4 to 12.2 microvolt per degree Celsius. So more or less the same, and platinum R and S, and they are mostly used for the high temperature measurement. In fact, this is the thermocouple. Both of them are the thermocouples which can measure the maximum temperature. If you recall the RTD and like this, they can be used only for, say, suppose 600 degrees Celsius or like this. They are beyond this, it is difficult one. Next is K, which is chromel alumel. Both of them are alloys, chromel alumel. Here it is, chromel is positive, alumel is negative. And chromel is 90% nickel and 10% chromium. And alumel has got a more complicated construction, that is nickel 94%, aluminium 2%, manganese 3%, silicon 1%. And its range is -200 to 1300 degrees Celsius. So that means maximum is around 1500 degrees Celsius. It can go to, I will tell you, 2 basically. It can go measure negative temperature also, but maximum 1300 degrees Celsius. And so it is next to this one there. And its sensitivity is also more, 15.2 to 42.6 microvolt per degree Celsius. So because of the variation of the sensitivity, so the sensitivity when we measure around 0 degree and sensitivity when you measure around 1500 degrees Celsius, they would be different. Next is T, it is copper, and next is constantan. It is 57% copper and 43% nickel. So this is also an alloy. This range is less, -200 to 43% nickel. -200 to 350 degrees Celsius. And typical sensitivity is 15.8 to 61.8 microvolt per degree Celsius. So range is small, but here 61.8 is the, but the sensitivity can be higher. And similarly, J is basically iron constantan. Here it is, the range is -150 to 750 degree Celsius, and it is 21.8 to 64.6 microvolt per degree Celsius. So mostly these are the 5 materials, and there are 1 or 2 more which are not so popular, are basically J, K, S, R, S, T. These are the 5 materials which we can use like this. And for that one is the maximum thermocouple can measure, its temperature can measure around 1500 degrees Celsius. For lower temperature, we use copper constantan, iron constantan. For higher temperatures measurement, we use platinum, rhodium, or chromium alumel. These are the, actually, if you go to any industry and where in a furnace or a boiler or like this, where you want to measure the high temperature, there would be these are the things. But before going to that point, going to closing there, this one, but we have many cases the temperature we want to measure is much higher than 1500 degrees Celsius. Even if any one of you have visited any steel plant, any one of you have you visited any steel plant? Maybe you are from Steel City or like this. Anyone? I don't know whether you have visited or not.
Yes, sir.
Who? Where? Which plant?
So Jamshedpur Tata Steel.
Very good. Jamshedpur Tata Steel there. So what you find it is that is in this one, that is a, you must have seen that one. That is a, they use molten metal. First of all, the iron is melted and we put some combinations of manganese, silicon and whatever be their content here. And from this one blast furnace or basically LD converter, they call it like this, where the iron is melted and there is a, if you see there are a converter, there is a ladle there over which is tilted there and put on big tank or like this there. So basically we see that this is a bucket or like this there and there is a there where the blast, these LD converters are like this, there are all these things at very high temperature there and it is tilted and basically once you tilt it, these are molten metal is being poured there and this is the big train, train lines are there. So this sort of big drums or like this there, they are taking over the trains or like this there and after there it goes for casting. That is you want to cast it in form of a different shapes or like this, maybe a wheel or maybe for a train, their train line or like this of different shape like this. So whenever the is that the point is that huge high temperature and all the things there. But the point is that whenever it falls on it, the temperature is in the range of 2100 to 2200 degree Celsius. Okay. But I need to measure the temperature. I need to measure the temperature. So, but we have a maximum platinum, rhodium or like this. Our ability to measure temperature is around 1500 degrees Celsius only. Or maybe 1550 or like this. Then what can you do? How to measure the temperature of this one there? Any idea? You will do some trick and whatever you know, whatever you have studied, you can apply that one. What trick you can do it? Any idea? Got my question? So basically, you want to measure, that means at a temperature which is above the range. But still, because you don't have any other option, but to, this is a molten steel, it is being tilted, but to use this thermocouple. It is used for this one, the thermocouple, and thermocouple type of thing is used, but it is used for making a more temperature like this. If we recall the temperature sensor, what is the transfer function? So it is E0 by Ts. What is it? K divided by What is it? What type of
Sir, S tau plus 1. First order. S
yes.
tau plus.
Okay. So if I have this is your time, and if I plotted the E0 here, okay. So what will happen if the temperature is particular temperature? Say suppose it is T1 degree Celsius. Like this. So what will happen? It will be, I have inserted this one and I have a temperature and it would behave as a first order thermocouple. Okay. Am I correct? So it is a steady state value, we will get some voltage and this is corresponding to a temperature, say T1. But, so I can put a platinum, rhodium here there, but say suppose it is 2200 degrees Celsius is the temperature there. I can put a platinum, rhodium here, there, and so that is recommended for 1500 degrees Celsius. And after that, if it goes, basically it will melt. It will, that high temperature, it cannot withstand and it will melt there. So the point is that what we can do, so possibly at a particular temperature, it will be melting here. It will melt. Which will, that means, suppose I can say it is a 1500 degree Celsius. You say it is a 1500 degree Celsius when it is melt. Now, if I measure the time, I know the characteristics of the thermocouple, tau I know, characteristics of the thermocouple I know. So for a particular time, at some particular time, so this is 1500 degrees. Say suppose once again or like this there. If it was, say suppose at a, I am just saying that at a higher temperature, say suppose 25,000 degrees, 2500 degrees Celsius. It is 2500 degrees Celsius. The point is that here, the point is that if I look at it, so the time response of this one is there. Say suppose at a, when it reaches the 1500 degrees Celsius, that means it is molten, actually it is destroyed. The time here, if it was 2500 degrees Celsius, it would have been some temperature T1. And this one, rather, if we note down the trajectory of the voltage and what is the voltage after certain time there. From there, knowing fully what is the value of tau and what is the value of K, we can find out and we can ensure, we can find out what is the exact temperature there. Am I point out? Am I clear? Say for example, 1500 degrees Celsius, after that we won't get your thermocouple. I mean any output of the thermocouple because it is destroyed. So how much time it takes to destroy from this one? And just before the destroying, what is the voltage here? If I just measure this one, I can easily say that what is the final output voltage. Is it clear?
Can you repeat again?
Huh?
It is not quite clear. Can you repeat?
You couldn't understand?
Sir.
Okay. I think the time is up. Okay, tomorrow I will be giving you some example.
Sir, one doubt.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Please.
Sir, you said that we need the data at that after how much time it will get destroyed, and also what was the output voltage at the time it got destroyed, right?
Exactly.
So don't you think that one of the things would be like the output voltage would be redundant, because we already know that at a particular temperature it will get destroyed, and we know the
That's
output voltage at that temperature. So
That's
why do we
right.
need the output voltage?
So rather this 1500 degree where it is destroyed or like this, we do not know. Rather, I would measure that at some time, because this point exactly it is not known, it may vary or like this there. But instead of this one, if I measure, fix the time, if I fix the time here, say suppose at some time t1 there, what is the voltage? So at that time t1, the voltage is this one. Sorry, for 2500, the voltage is this one. And for 22 degree, the voltage is how much? The voltage is this one. So we have got, basically we don't measure that when it is destroyed or like this, rather we go a slightly lower than that one. We say that, okay, after time t1, so what we note down, what is the time, say suppose 1 millisecond or 10 millisecond or like this, and after 10 millisecond, what is the voltage? That is enough, and that is more reliable. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So I will give some example will be, so what I meant to say is that the temperature can exceed that range, but also we can do this technique, but that technique is called a destructive technique. We call it a destructive technique, and that is basically that destroys the thermocouple. Only once you can use it, but steel industry actually huge costly material, and the temperature decides the quality of the steel, etc. So naturally we can afford to go for this one, even though the platinum thermocouple. What they do is that simply they put some drop some thermocouple like this with a long wear and see what is the amount of how the voltage, thermocouple voltage is changing. And after some time, it will melt and this will be destroyed. But during that time, how it is changing, that trajectory, from that one, I can say what is the temperature of the furnace or like this molten.
Sir, what is the meaning of negative thermocouple?
Oh, negative thermocouple, as I told you. This way, I will go for this one afterwards. Is it clear? What is the meaning of negative thermocouple? Say suppose it is chromel and alumel. Okay. So alumel will give you this one a negative potential and chromel will give you at the positive potential of the voltage. Okay. So it is called a positive material and this is called a negative. Got it?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So simply by reversing the terminals, we get the negative thermocouple.
Huh?
Simply by reversing the terminals, we can get a negative thermocouple.
That's obvious. But that's you use some confusion. I mean, rather we use some convention so that to avoid the confusion. Okay. In case if so what is to be used unlike this, the positive and negative. We just okay. Thank you. So we'll continue this one in the next class. But on Friday, class test. Is it okay?
Sir, on Friday, actually, we have class from morning 9 till 6. So if you could please keep it on Monday.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, on Monday we will have it, but You see, we are going on a very tight here there. Don't miss it. Because if we miss any class or class test, it's very difficult because the schedule is very tight. We'll have to, and we will not get to give a clear chance for compensation. Okay. Thank you very much. Let's stop.